what was the big rumor in your high school? And did it turn out to be true? Story 1. There was this kid who was absolutely terrible at singing and acting, yet every year he was the lead role in whatever play/musical the drama class was putting on. Rumor had it that he was sleeping with the drama teacher. It was never actually confirmed, but summer after graduation the two of them went on a trip to Europe together. Opinion. His questionable talent and the drama teacher's favoritism is definitely a giveaway. The trip to Europe pretty much confirms it. There's likely more to their relationship than just a teacher-student relationship. Story 2. There was a rumor that some kid at my school didn't survive an overdose or something. Everybody, including people who didn't even know the guy, made Facebook posts about how good of a guy he was, and even created Facebook groups dedicated to his memory. Turns out the kid just got really sick for a couple of weeks, and his friends decided to mess with everybody. The kid was like, meh, whatever, and played along. Opinion. It's impressive how fast rumors spread and how fast people are to believing everything they hear. Story 3. Spanish teacher was allegedly in Playboy in the mid-70s. Turned out to be true. Opinion. Something similar happened at my high school. My math teacher had a video of her with 3 guys leaked, and it was passed around among the students. She ended up having to change schools and move to a different city. Story 4. In my high school shortly after 9/11, people all of a sudden started passing out left and right, and some even had to be hospitalized. Rumor was that it was another attack. Only this time they were releasing noxious chemicals into the ventilation system. We were evacuated and didn't have school for about 3 days while they investigated. The truth was, it was just moldy sandwiches and rotten fruit. Someone had been hiding their friend's lunch in one of the vents for about 2 weeks. Opinion. The fear caused by that terrible incident has left everyone on edge, and I can't really blame those kids for being paranoid. Story 5. There was an underground pool that only the teachers had access to. My high school was built around 1999, was supposedly designed like a prison, has a massive amphitheater, and doesn't have any real walls aside from dividers in the wing areas. It also drew from a very affluent area, so you can imagine that shenanigans were always happening, from people smearing the number 2 on the walls, in the bathroom, to people snorting lines of that illegal white powder off a textbook. Anyway, every person at my high school has heard about the pool rumor. I mean, it already had 3 levels and an amphitheater, so why not a pool? The teachers would often joke or allude to the pool, about how it was the last thing built, or that it wasn't filled with water, so it couldn't be used. It was supposedly right under the gym floor, and the gymnasium itself would open up to reveal a pool. I had 0 period weight training my junior and senior years, and we would occasionally scout the gym to see if there was any hidden access port to it. We found nothing. Opinion. This is my favorite one so far. The idea of a hidden pool under the gym is so intriguing, especially with teachers alluding to it. I was picturing the gym floor opening up like the basketball court revealing the X-Men's Blackbird. Story 6. When I was a freshman in high school, the hot girl was a sophomore. Next year, she wasn't in school anymore. The year after that, I heard she was in the adult industry. Turned out to be true. The school had to block her name in Google. Opinion. I'm not good with math, but if my calculations are right, it doesn't seem like she was at the legal age to work in that industry. Story 7. A teacher was selling that illicit white powder to students and letting them smoke the green stuff in her classroom or get high at her house. Yes, it turned out to be true. This was the same year the middle school teacher at the school next door was busted for child touching. Opinion. It's hard to believe a teacher could be involved in selling such things, and on top of that letting their students use them in the classroom. The fact that it coincided with another serious incident really makes me wonder what kind of terrible things went on at that school. Story 8. The vice principal quit and left the country with his family because his son would have been placed on judicial execution. Okay, I admit, this requires an explanation. This happened after I left high school, so I'm not too familiar with it. And the high school was the Singapore American School. Basically, a lot of American teenagers in a strict country. So bad things are bound to happen. Anyway, Singapore has a unalive penalty if you have over a certain amount. It's pretty straightforward. If you have the green stuff over a certain amount, you are going to be unalived. Case closed. I've heard that if the school catches you with illegal substances, they have to report you to the Singaporean government within 24 hours. Therefore, the school will inform you right away and then give you 23 hours and 59 minutes to get the F out. Anyway, the vice principal, whose son was in the school at the time, suddenly quit and his son suddenly dropped out without any notice, left with no warning, no packing, etc. Putting two and two together, this makes the most sense, that he had to leave for legal reasons right away. And this isn't some guess based on nothing. Something similar happened to a classmate in my homeroom. I'm sure people are aware of the caning incident of an American teenager, Michael Fay. Well, he was a junior at the time, and I was a sophomore. And he was arrested at school, so I was very familiar with that. Anyway, long story short, he wasn't the only one. There was an Australian in my homeroom who was also caught up in the whole thing. Since he was under 18, they couldn't take his passport. So around the time Michael Fay was put into prison, his family left all of a sudden with no warning. He was absent a few days and no one really noticed until we read the newspaper and realized he was an international fugitive. He pretty much has to make sure that he never goes on a plane through Singapore again in his life. Anyway, that's a rumor that I heard from a good friend. I have no idea if that is true or not. Opinion. The serious legal consequences in Singapore kind of make sense though, since that country has the perfect geographic location to become one of the largest illicit substance trade centers in the world. Also, it would suck to be him if the plane has engine troubles and has to divert to Singapore. Story 9. So there was this quiet kid at my high school. Call him B. B had friends, but they were all secluded. They didn't talk to the rest of the school. So, B gets sick one day. He goes to the doctor and has to stay home for a while. He is not in any danger of losing his life, but he's contagious and thus has to stay home for about 2 weeks. Our classes were pretty small, so people started to notice after 2 days that he was missing. Rather than ask his friends like logical people, his classmates just assumed he was no longer alive. In less than a week, the whole school knew B had been run over by a truck, and people were trying to figure out when his funeral was. Needless to say, people were confused when he pulled a Jesus, minus the scars. He got a kick out of it, and it became a joke around the school to say, "I thought you weren't alive," when B showed up anywhere. Opinion. Now that I think of it, I don't remember me or any of my classmates caring too much when people missed multiple classes in a row. We just thought they would eventually come back to school, and they always did. Story 10. That my wife was really active, if you know what I mean. I didn't know her at the time, but knew of her. The stories that went around about her were really crazy, but no one knew what was true and what wasn't. Stories of sleeping with half the football team at once, sleeping with teachers, male and female, and everything else. She settled down a bit in her 20s. We got together, now married with kids. She tells me in detail the stories of what really happened. Let's just say that 99% of rumors were true. Opinion. Congrats, I suppose? I think most men might be bothered by discovering that kind of past, but it seems you're handling it differently. Well, to each their own, I guess. Story 11. In middle school, we always heard rumors of the hot reading teacher sleeping with students. I don't really believe it, but I wanted to. She would wear short skirts and skimpy clothing, but never really seemed like the kind of teacher to do that. Then, about 7 years later, I saw on the news about how she and the PE teacher from the local high school were in a love triangle with a sixth grade female student at the school. I was ecstatic, not because she was sleeping with kids, but because the childhood rumor we all heard had turned out to be true. Then I realized I was no longer friends with any of the other students that talked about those rumors, and had nobody to excitedly tell. Opinion. Sixth grade? Isn't that like 11 or 12 years old? Oh god, this world is so messed up. How they allow literal predators to work with children is beyond my comprehension. Story 12. There were two boys, Mark and Richard, who went away with Richard's dad to a holiday house. One of them left a piece of clothing to dry on a heater, and the house caught fire, unaliving Mark and burning 40% of Richard's body. The dad, to my knowledge, didn't have any serious burns. The rumor was that Richard's dad saved his son, but didn't even try to save Mark. The rumor was bogus, but it had everyone talking about it for a year. What had actually happened was that Mark dried his jumper on the heater in his room, which was located on the top floor. He was already gone by the time the dad could reach him. Opinion. I think a lot of people dry their clothes on the heater, and they have no idea how dangerous it can be. Story 13. My English teacher got an earring, and there was a rumor that he went with a student. That turned into a rumor about how he was getting tattoos with students and paying for them. In one version of the rumor, he himself pierced a student's ears, and in another, the student pierced his ears. He told us to please spread a rumor that he was born with an addiction to the rock stuff, because the only way to counteract a rumor is to drown it with an even more vicious rumor. The next semester, some PTA parent was overheard asking it if it was true that he was born with an addiction. Everyone forgot about the earring thing and he went right on teaching. He also revealed the next semester that the earring was fake to begin with, but he hadn't wanted to remove it because he was curious to see how far the rumor would go. So no, none of the rumors were true, as far as I know. I heard that he later got a real earring, but I had graduated by then, so I don't know. It seems like the sort of thing he would do. Opinion. Your teacher's tactic to counter the rumor with an even worse rumor is amazing. He had a great sense of humor and a good understanding of the high school dynamics. Story 14. There was an around 30-year-old teacher at my high school who was rumored to have fake breasts. This wasn't actually a rumor because she told people that it was true and was not ashamed at all. She was married. There was another rumor that she was sleeping with the only two black kids at the school, who were seniors at the time and 18, so technically it wasn't illegal. She was asked to resign after the school met with her and the boys and their parents, and then she got divorced. So I'm going to go with, yes, it was true. After I graduated, my cheerleading coach told me that she had gone to a party with one of the guys who she had supposedly slept with, and he told her that it was true that she was the worst F he'd ever had. The messed up part of this is that this teacher had a little brother who was also a senior, and the two boys she slept with definitely made fun of him prior to his sister deciding it was a good idea to sleep with them, and after, of course. She was a terrible person. Opinion. I know that in some countries it's illegal for a teacher to sleep with a student, regardless of age, and I believe it should be this way in every country. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell button to receive notifications to my latest videos.